Well, hello, friends. Welcome back to Commute Talk. It's a new week, so time for a new talk. I got a suggestion or a question from a from a lovely person who left a comment, and it was about how to approach a large code base if you're looking to get into it and learn about it. Like, how do I do that? Since I've worked on big things like Qt, KDE, WebKit, stuff like that. What kind of advice do I have about that? And I think it's a very, very interesting subject because there's no one right way to do that. And everyone kind of does it differently, I guess. But I can tell you what has worked for me. So I guess starting with KDE, the way that I got into that was I was working as a web developer at the time, making like somewhat dynamic pages with PHP and MySQL databases for local small businesses in my hometown. And one such customer wanted to have like this little contact us form on their website because they were not sure about giving out their email on the web. So they wanted a form that you would fill in, and it would send the info to them, but you wouldn't know their email address. It was a I mean, I suppose some companies still do this, but it's so stupid. Come on. Anyway, so I was making this form, and I was kind of into Linux at the time as a user for a while. So I was using KDE. Maybe it was 3.3 or 3.4. I don't recall exactly which one it was, but it was some KDE in the 3 series. And of course, my entire company that I worked at, everyone used Windows and they only cared about IE. But I was trying to be a good boy, so I was testing on Firefox and Conqueror. And maybe Firefox was called Firebird back then, actually. But regardless, so I was testing on Conqueror, and I discovered that with this stupid contact us form, you had to choose in a drop-down what was the reason that you were contacting them. And in Conqueror, that drop-down would behave differently than all the other browsers. That if you didn't explicitly specify in the HTML which of the options should be pre-selected or the default selection, Conqueror would not pick the same default as the other ones. And I don't know. It was like the first time I had seen a browser bug affecting me firsthand like that, and I was kind of bewildered. And I don't know. Something just struck me. Like, I can't fix this in my HTML, and I like this browser, and I like programming, so why don't I try to fix it in the browser? I figured. And of course, then I got my hands on the KDE code base, which was a mono repo at the time, and it was like this gigantic beast of a subversion checkout. It took a long time to get that working, but eventually I did, and I managed to fix the bug, and I sent a patch to someone, and they committed it to the trunk, and that was really awesome, I thought. And then somehow that little thing, it just gave me the confidence and motivation to dig in deeper in the whole KDE tree, because now I had the whole checkout. I knew how to build KDE from source. I figured, all right, well, I'll just go to the KDE bug tracker and look for some easy stuff, easy looking tasks, and try to fix them. And that's what I did. I just went on a bug hunt, I guess, like looking for stuff that people had reported that seemed, easy enough to figure out and fix, and went and fixed it. And I was doing that for a few months, probably fixing like in the hundreds of bugs, and having the time of my life. It was really, really super fun. And that's how I got familiar with KDE and how I learned about Qt. So that was the first time I did that, and it was like completely based on just wanting to fix a little issue I had found myself, and then it just completely spiraled out of control in a good way. Um, and then when I started working on WebKit, it was in a professional capacity. But since WebKit came from KHTML originally, or as a fork of that, I had some amount of familiarity, but not that much, to be honest. Like, by the time I started working on WebKit, it was like 2009, late 2009, and WebKit and KHTML had diverged like to a huge degree at this point. So there wasn't much similarity. But the way that I approached getting into the WebKit codebase was that my manager, Simon, he assigned me a failing unit test that, like, there was a Qt WebKit unit test that had recently started failing after someone at Apple made changes to page loading, I think. I don't recall exactly. It was something about HTTPS page loading, I think. Anyways, so he just gave me a bug to look into. And this was my first experience with test failure, and I found it super fascinating. It's like, all right, so here's this thing that was working before, and it's not working now. And here's the range of commits that broke it. So you just got to work out what was the change in this range here that broke this, and then figure out what the fix would be to make it work again. And this was completely new to me, like this concept. And I thought, wow, this is so cool. Like the idea that you could even have regularly running tests that allow you to pinpoint when something went wrong. Mind-blowing. That was mind-blowing to me at the time. I guess I still find it amazing. Continuous integration and regression testing and stuff like that. These are just fantastic tools for software development. And yeah, so like once I was able to figure that bug out, then I sort of, I guess I took a similar route to the KDE thing, except this time I was kind of hunting down or looking for like a few more test failures, stuff like that, because the WebKit project is extremely heavy on testing and tracking down test failures. So if you come to WebKit, or like if you come to any big project like that, really like that's run by professionals, and you say like, oh, I want to hunt down test failures, they're going to be so happy to have you, because it's just like this fact of life that you have test failures, and hunting them down is not always fun, but it is a great way to learn. So I really appreciate when new people come into projects like that and they try to fix bugs, hunt down test failures, add new testing. Maybe it doesn't seem glamorous, but it is super good for learning. I learned so much by investigating tests and writing tests. And then I got a little bit lazy about it for a while, and now I'm getting back to writing tests again. And it's just so satisfying when you test something, because when you break it, you'll know. Anyway. So I guess I would say about, so the comment that I got about this was also about like how he wants to look into the Serenity codebase, and I guess looking for advice on that. And in that case, I would say that the best way to get into it is probably to build it and then mess around with it and try to make it do something funny or interesting. I had a Twitter notification this morning that someone was playing around with Serenity and changing the look of the buttons so that they would look like the buttons from Borland Delphi 1.0 when running on Windows 95, I guess. And I mean, that's just like the perfect kind of thing, I would think. Like just get the code, get it working, and then tweak something so that it's the way that you like it, because that will teach you so much about the code base in just going through that process, and you will have a fun result come out of it. Now, maybe personally I don't love the Delphi button look, so So maybe I'm a bit hesitant about trying to integrate those changes, but maybe as a theme, perhaps. Anyway, but I think that that's really the best advice I would give or I can give, is to screw around with it and pick it apart and put it back together. Make something small, change something small, and then do it again and again, and you will eventually, through that process, learn the code base. I think everyone who has successfully grokked the Serenity code base so far has gone through that process. I mean, it's not that many of them, but those of you who have become a bit comfortable, you know what I mean, right? That you just started poking around, fixing some stuff here and there, and over time you just grew accustomed to it. Yeah, so I guess those are my thoughts on that. I hope that sort of answers your question there. And other than that, I will hope everyone has a lovely day. And thanks for hanging out with me on the commute. Bye.